Aine Gallagher. Thank you, hello. Are you all having a good time? Good. I'm a bit out of my comfort zone because normally I do comedy. And today Jasmine has asked me to talk about my research. I mean, it's a funny one because I said, really, you want me to talk about my research? Like, I don't think I really do any research. But then I thought about it and I do a lot of it. I mean, I'll tell you, right, every time I walk into a room, first thing I do, count the number of babes. That's research, you know, like, because I'm always counting. Yeah. So that was my first joke there. I'll just, yeah. To keep it simple, right, I'll tell you when it's a joke, and I'll tell you when it's a fact. All right, okay, yeah, okay, cool. So anyway, yeah, I am an occupational therapist. Yeah, that's just an undergrad, right? I did a master's in health promotion. And then my research stopped. And the thing that I like picking most is like degrees and masters that nobody understands what they are. That was my second joke. yeah, it's going to get old after a while. No, but that's it. So anyway, occupational therapy is like a healthcare professional who works with people to enable independence. You could be working with any group of people. I don't really have time to go into that in too much detail. And then I like health promotion because health promotion then kind of takes a step back and looks at health a bit on a wider spectrum. So, and that's why I think it's interesting, because unlike other occupational therapists, I think not all problems can be solved by giving a raised toilet seat. They solve a lot of problems, but not all problems. Okay, so like health promotion, yeah, like I said, kind of takes a step back and looks at things on a broader level. So just a little bit of research here. Who is here because they like learning? Okay. For the 6 people who showed enthusiasm, you're going to like the next bit. Okay, yeah. Because these are just things that I've kind of learned this year that I think are interesting. Okay, so when you take a step back and look at health in general and say, oh God, there's actually a lot of factors that are affecting health. It's not just smoking, drinking, alcohol, and the 4 key pillars. Exercise, yeah, that's it. Like, it's not just them, right? Take a step back and, like, education, that's a huge thing, right? Because it's kind of looking at things across the life course. So people who don't succeed as well in education, like, you know, finish education or engage in education, have, you know, poorer health outcomes as they're, like, you know, when they're older or in later life, or, you know, so, like, people from minority groups, ethnic minority groups, like people who come to Ireland, like different cultures, people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, all things like that. So, like, if we're talking about, you know, just even looking at engaging people in education, that's health promotion. Another really interesting thing is to look at, like, how the physical environment is built. So, like, you know, people with disabilities obviously need to be able to access buildings to be able to engage in things socially and I mean to access health services and everything like that. But I think a really interesting, it's not a good interesting thing, but an interesting thing is 2/3 of people aged over 65 can't walk fast enough to cross the road. That was a fact. No, but like... that was a fact. That's not funny. Yeah. No, but it is, like, honestly. So, I mean, obviously, I don't know why you're all laughing so much at that. But you think... I have a lot to get through here. Hang on. Yeah. No. So, like, and then obviously, I mean, that can cause problems for people, because then, like, maybe they, like, you know, accessing your community is really important for health, like for maintaining physical activity, but also like engaging in what you want to be able to do and do it independently. So these things are really important. And then like I don't want to go into too many like bad stats, but one thing I'm just going to end on this with the learning facts. Like 1 in 8 women in Afghanistan are at risk of like dying at childbirth. That's careful. No, that was bad. Erase that off the video. Yeah, that was bad. No, but that's obviously awful. So it showed like on a global scale as well how in Ireland, like and Europe and like developed countries, we get like there's it's unequal basically across countries. So like and then I'm not gonna blame men for everything, but maternal health services can often be designed by men, and that then makes no sense because we might forget about things. So just like us who design like pedestrian road crossings, we don't think of how fast people might need to cross the road. We forget about other things. So that's the first thing that I'm trying to say. Like culture is really important. And so like I only know that I'm from Ireland and I understand certain things about Irish culture. Like, has anyone here been on a date in Ireland? Couple of people. One. Couple of people aren't sure. Yeah. And this is actually the thing, right? It's hard to know. Like, how do you know if you've been on a date in Ireland? I don't really know. It's very hard to know. Okay. But I've realised it's our culture, like it's cultural differences. So in Ireland, the dating format, it basically goes, like we go out, we start dancing, then we might start kissing, and then after that we make eye contact, you see? So it's just like it's different, and you have to be from Ireland to understand that. And then, like Americans or, other people come over and they're like, what? Like you don't have the meal at the start of the date, you have a meal at the end of the date. That makes no sense, but it makes sense in Ireland. So, that's, you need to be designing these services. Like, so understanding the perspective of the people that they're designed for. And then, like, language. Language is a really important one. So, obviously, like, you can't make assumptions. And, I think Irish language is really interesting because people coming, like, even, foreign people who might come to Ireland to learn Irish, they can learn the language, but they don't understand how we communicate in Irish. And that's really important. So if you're designing a health service for someone from a different culture, like that's really important, just like that is. So people, foreign people don't know that for the average Irish person, like anytime they hear Irish, there's a beep before the conversation. And like we can hear the conversation 3 times before we even have to try to understand it. So like that's just, language is obviously really important. So that's what I'm saying. And then like I'm really interested about like how health policy has been developed in Ireland and just showing like how the influence that certain like the political influence that can like be had and then the effects that can have on us as a nation and our health. Like as health policy was developing in Ireland, and the Catholic Church obviously had such a strong hold. Like I can't remember the date, but I want to remember the date. Let's say 1962. It's fact, yeah. But the Archbishop of Dublin at the time rang the Minister for Health and said, look, these tampons are coming out on sale and I don't think that they should be sold because they might create make young girls, give them an impression, sexually arouse them, and we don't want that. I read that in a book. That's a fact. Like, I'm not joking. That is isn't that amazing? And what's amazing, that's kind of a difference, like comedy Bright Club, like what's the difference? In Bright Club, the facts are about tampons. Yeah. But can you imagine, so it just shows how, it's interesting how services develop and how they can be designed by people who may not know what they're talking about and have significant influence over that. So it's interesting. So it's good to be critical all the time when you're thinking and, how we can design things. And then that's, going back to occupational therapy. I mean, that's, if you think about it, like with our educational system, like you need whatever amount of points, and the people who get that amount of points are from a certain white middle class affluent background, and then we're like us, like one pocket of the population, are designing services for the whole country, which doesn't make sense. So. Yeah, that's just learning for all of you. That's not funny. It's not funny at all. But that's it. So that's like health promotion. The moral of that section is there's a lot more to think about other than Mars bars. Jessamine, how much more longer do I have to do? I've got to, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, just tell us what's good there. I've done that bit. Mars bars. Yeah, yeah. No, that bit's not funny, really. Yeah, like understand perspectives. So, okay, so my research, I'll say really quickly what my research was. It was working with people. So we were looking at social participation rather than other stuff. And I asked people to take photos of what they like most about their social participation. And then they came back and we talked about the photos and tried to kind of figure out by what people were saying, like what they find most meaningful, why they like it. And the reason was because in Ireland, people who have meaningful social participation report better quality of life. So I was just trying to figure out why. So, I mean, the reasons that people said were like, to have a form of kind of physical exercise, maintain a healthy lifestyle, just like things that they would have grown up with, that they like doing, things that they can do, share their skill, like use their skills, use their talents, and so things like that. So would you have any idea from me saying that, like what group of people I was working with?
What's your question?
Does anyone who remembers the question have an idea? Because sorry, I can't. From what I said of why people like their social participation, what type of demographic was I working with? If you know the answer, please don't answer. Any ideas? Elderly. Right. Damn. Yeah. No. Not. No. It was older people. Yeah. I was thinking. Yeah, it was older people. I was expecting that to be a lot more of a dynamic section there. Yeah. It wasn't at all. So older people, yeah. What's interesting about, the benefit of using the photos rather than me designing a questionnaire was that because me, who isn't old, would have probably used my assumptions of what older adulthood is and designed my questions in that way. So I would have asked things like, what's most difficult about being old? What annoys you about going outside? Is it that the traffic lights are too quick? So understand it from the other side. That's important. I think it's interesting. I'll probably finish on this. I saw an exhibition once and it was about people who are aging. And why is the first compliment that we give people, oh, you don't look your age? Why do we say that? It's kind of a shit thing to say. And I'd be delighted if I looked my age. It's good to get still be able to pay childfare on the bus, but in interviews and stuff is very difficult. I went on a blind date, I've gone on 2 blind dates, and the guy actually after them got back in touch with me and said, yeah, no, I was there, but all I could see was some young 14-year-old on their own. Yeah. That was my final joke. That was my last joke. Anyway, thanks. Have a good night.
Aine Gallagher, everybody.